We are talking about how to breed confidence in your child. Comment confidence, if that's something that you're looking to do. I'm sure, I think for me, that's like number one on my list in terms of how, what you want to do, what you want to breed in your child, right? Confidence, so they make good decisions, so they feel good about themselves, so they're happy and joyful. That's what we're looking for. My name is Dale LaCure, and thank you for being with me here today. I help families find holistic solutions to bring health, happiness, and harmony into the home. And I have an incredible guest today. Let us know where you are watching in from. We're talking all about confidence and how to breed that in your children. So Michael is a parent coach. He's worked with teens, very troubled teens. He's ran a youth home for many years. He's been in family, teaching family relationships and parent coaching and kids for like 15 years now. He's a wealth of knowledge, especially when it comes to teenagers. But today we're going to talk about all ages. And it's important to really start when they're little, right, Michael? So
For
thanks for
sure.
being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So what you said, you had like 8 tips for us?
Yeah, well, when you messaged me and we talked about confidence,
Yeah,
I kind of just wrote down the 8 things that came to my mind. So I thought I'd just read them off. And
awesome. Yeah, let's see what you got, because I know we're always looking for those skills and why. Well, first of all, let's talk about it a little bit, like the
okay.
confidence piece. Um, in your experience, when you're working with kids and you're working with families, do you find that there's a lack of confidence in children in general, would you say?
Oh, yes, I for sure. I think when you talk about behaviors and you look at behavior, a behavior or something our child does or someone does, it's just a symptom of a root cause. And
Mm,
often a root cause is if you're lacking confidence in yourself, you don't believe in yourself, or you focus on your flaws and you don't feel just healthy or good, you're not going to conduct yourself in a positive manner. You're going to be emotionally dysregulated. So you're going to be letting the people around you know that I'm not doing okay by your actions, by your behavior. Um, and confidence is also tied to resilience, right? So if you go to school or activities or whatever your children's doing, friendships and everything, if they hit some problems, if they're not confident in their abilities to overcome things, then they're going to just kind of collapse, right?
like shrink. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So it's important to really start this when they're really little,
Yeah.
right? So let's hear some of the tips that you have, and then maybe we'll discuss them as you go along. So you want to read some of the tips that you
Sure.
have for
Yeah.
us? Yeah.
So like number one is my go-to is always focus on effectively parenting instead of emotionally parenting. If you're emotionally reacting to your children or emotionally dumping on them, if you're stressed out or you're not feeling happy and you're taking it out on your children, that's going to hurt them, hurt their feelings. And if you're hurting someone's feelings, and especially when it's the most important person in their life is their parents, that's going to really take a toll on their mindset. It's going to shatter their beliefs in themselves and wonder what's wrong with me. Why is my parent mad at me, even though you're not even necessarily mad at your kid. Um, and
Right.
no, and another thing that I think is important that we do as parents is we have to let our children fail. We have to let them make mistakes. So our children are dependent at a young age, and then they want to be independent. But there's a stage in between there where it's like interdependence, where we're showing our kids things, we're doing things together in terms of things in the house or at school, but not hovering as a parent and protecting our children from stuff that can go wrong because they need to experience that, right? Like as they grow up, and if
Right.
they make a mistake and something happens that isn't good, they come back to you and you talk about it. And that's how you build that confidence and that resilience where you're like, I can go through some hard stuff, but I'll be okay. I'll make it through it. Like it's
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So when someone does, achieve something that was difficult, and you let them fall. I mean, just like when they're learning to walk, even, you
exactly.
know, they just keep getting up, they're getting up, they're getting up, and they're building confidence in that they are like continuing to do it, right? So
Hmm.
that's great. You do feel confident even as an adult when you achieve something. You know what I mean? So that's
Exactly. And as parents, we want to control too often. We want to control and keep our kids safe, but we got to let them experience life from a young age all the way through.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So important. So yeah, the real subtle things. And I just want to go back to the first one that you said about not parenting emotionally. So that's, that's pretty tricky sometimes for adults.
Oh, totally.
And all of us have been there where we're just like, we're tired, we're cranky, we're just like,
Yeah.
just put your freaking coat on. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, you're just the other
Yeah.
morning because we were starting school again, and I was
Yeah.
anxious and stressed out, and I'm trying my best to manage it. But then I find myself arguing with my two daughters about nuts in the morning and not eating nuts for breakfast. And so then I take a step back because I'm good at this. I practiced for years, and I'm like, hold on, sorry, girls. Dad's in his little brain here. It's not about the nuts. I'm just feeling anxious, a little stressed out. And then we talked about it and moved on. But yeah, so my point is, you can never master this skill, right? Emotions are always going to take over. It's just a matter of catching it as a parent and kind of, taking a step back.
Yeah. So I absolutely love what you just said. And I'm totally going to highlight that is that you said sorry to your girls.
Oh, I apologize all the time. Not
Love it.
for what me as a person, or I teach my children, don't apologize for who you are, but you apologize for what you did, or that you could have done something differently, or when your emotions take over. It's going to happen to all of us every day, all day, but we got to repair that harm we've done to the relationship.
Yeah, I love it. And I remember many times like saying to my kids, like, you know what? I didn't really parent you that well in that situation. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm learning too. Like,
Yeah,
talk to me. Like, let's figure this out. Like, and sometimes kids are really, really, well, I won't say sometimes, I'll say always, they're very wise.
oh
And
yes,
they can tell you, and we can sit down and have a conversation and say, how do you think I should have handled that? Like, if you
yeah,
were the mom or the dad, how would you have handled that situation? Now, this
that's
isn't
wonderful.
when it all is going on, obviously, but later on, when things have calmed down, and just kind of have that conversation, not be afraid to say, I'm sorry, I really didn't do the right thing there. I
Yeah,
love you. Don't, please forgive me. You know what I mean? Like, and let them know and be vulnerable and not be afraid to say, I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
exactly, exactly. So what you did there is you worked as a team with your children, and that's a lot of my program is helping parents realize it's not you against your child. Not there's a problem issue. Work together, and when we admit our own flaws and we become vulnerable, that's helping our children develop confidence as well because they look at us as, okay, my parent's not perfect. They're not a
Yeah.
superhero. They have strengths and weaknesses just like me. Then that's how we build that confidence in them, is by role modeling. Or like you said earlier, our children are always watching. They teach us just as much as we teach them. It's a give and take relationship, right? So
Yeah. Oh, that's so good, Michael. That is so good. All right, let's go on. What else you got for us?
just like a simple one is focus on your child's strengths, not their weaknesses. Like we, as a parent, we can fall in that trap where there's something our child does that we don't like, and it grinds us and we bugs us and we nag about it and we're always on them about it. We got to stop that. We got to focus on what are they doing well. Like what, every child has their own personality. It might clash with ours or not, but what's their positives, and let's focus on those positives for them and bring that out in them, and they can put their energy in that, find their passion. Like what are they naturally good at, what do they naturally tend to do, right? So yeah, just focus on strengths.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so simple, and it seems like, yeah, I should be doing that, but consciously, a lot of times, depending on how we are, we think our kids are supposed to be the same way.
Exactly.
So it's like, no, let them be who they are, and don't worry about the messy room. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's not that important, kind of like pick your battles kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when we understand mindset and how the brain works, and we tend to focus on the negative, we have to purposely counteract that as a parent and be like, no, I'm just focusing on the negative. That's not a big deal. And then go write down what your kid does well, like, affirmation kind of stuff. And then you can get your child to write down affirmations to build confidence. That's a great tool. Like we have posters in the girls' room that they wrote out, I'm awesome, I'm creative, I'm smart. And then when they're having those days where things are not going well, they go to their room and they look at their poster and they remember writing these down, right? Like the visualization with kids and as parents is just like we can talk and talk to our kids, but they need that visual reminder, that visual experience.
Oh, that's great. And yeah, and adults need that too. So
Oh, for sure.
that's an awesome tool. Oh, I love that. That's really good. All right, what else you got?
So I always I preach this is be curious, not critical of your children. So if we see something that alarms us, like, whoa, what did they just do? Or if we're in public or they did something at school and we're like, well, I didn't like it triggers you. be curious of why they made that decision, not critical. So like, because that's going to bring down their self-esteem and their confidence in themselves. So separating the behavior and sitting down with them and saying, hey, I'm kind of wondering why you did that. I wouldn't have done that in that situation. Were you feeling angry or sad, or can you let me know? So, you put on that parenting detective hat and figure out what was going on. Because if you're critical, your child's just going to shut down and they're just going to become defensive and they're going to think that you don't like them. And I think as parents, we often don't put enough value on our words. And like the smallest things we say to our children, like they'll carry that with them. Because all my years of kids opening up to me, often it's just these things their parents have said to them that holds back their confidence. It gives them self-limiting beliefs.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, the words, they sting. A child holds on to it.
For sure.
They're so fragile and so innocent and just like this blank slate, and we really, really do have to figure out how to be really conscious and aware. And it is just the awareness is what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to say, I'm sorry, that's I think just super, super important. And what you were saying too is to separate the action from the person. Like instead of saying you're bad, saying that action was not a great choice.
Yeah.
Like
those parental language shifts.
Yes. God, that is so critical. I think so critical because I know that hits, you know what I mean? Like that, if you're saying a kid is bad, then you're going to get more bad behavior too. If you've labeled that kid as you're the trouble one, or you're the tough one, or you're the strong-willed one, or whatever label you've given them, they're going to meet up to whatever that label is.
Oh, labels are so harmful and dangerous. We could have a whole conversation with different labels with diagnosis and different things, but it's at a kid at a young age, and their brain's not developed until they're 25. But in those early years, if you're telling your child something, or the teacher's telling them something about themselves, that's what they're going to believe who they are. And you're not letting them develop their own self-identity and their own confidence. People are just telling them who they are, and they're shoving them into a box. And then they spend the rest of their life trying to get outside this box, but they're like, oh, no, I can't, I'm not safe. This is who I am. I can't do this.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so true. It's amazing. And I remember when my youngest, who's now 21, when he was in school, the early years, all of a sudden they said, I think, he has a learning disability. He needs to go into the specialized reading class. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, he doesn't. You know what I mean? So it just happened that one day, maybe he was tired that day when he took the test or whatever, he wasn't up to par. He was totally fine. And if I had accepted that and said, oh, okay, yeah, let me put him in this special class, like that would have done a number on his self-esteem. And my son is a brilliant reader. He's got an incredible mind. Like there is nothing wrong with his reading ability. So I think back on that and think how different things could look right now for him if I had given him that label of learning disabled.
Yeah, you were in that moment as a parent, you made the right decision and didn't accept that. But too often parents, and not anything against them or judging them, that they're just kind of lost with their children's behavior or the troubles at home at school. So then they look at professionals like teachers or psychologists, oh, they're professional, they know best. And then they mention something to them. And then all of a sudden as a parent, it's like, oh, and then you label your kid that, and then your path is set.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because parents are just looking for answers. But sometimes as parents, we need to gather information, but then sit with that information, gather more information.
Yes.
And determine what's best for us and our kids.
Yeah, and you as a parent know your kid better than anyone else.
Exactly. Go with your gut.
Yes, trust that. Yes, I am always that person that goes against the grain. I mean, I've been walked out of pediatricians' offices more than once. Mm-hmm. I've been walked out of, principals' offices more than once. Like I don't accept anything. I am like an advocate for my kid, and
you have to be.
You do have to be, and you can do the research. Like seek out the help that you need. Like that's why Michael is here, and there's so many parent coaches nowadays that are out there to help you. Like get the resources, get the knowledge, just continue to learn and grow. So this is so good. My daughter had that happen to her, said Lynn. Oh, wow. She said that same thing happened to her. Wow,
Hmm.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know someone that happened to her. It was actually a friend of my son's, and she was given a diagnosis as learning disabled, and she literally went through her life believing that she couldn't learn, and she
Yeah.
was perfectly fine. Like it was just, I don't know, scary. Anyway, all right, so back to confidence. We could talk like forever, I know, Michael. So let's go back to the confidence thing.
So the
So,
confidence, um, we talk about teaching emotions and self-awareness to ourselves. Like that's my big thing, teaching parents about emotional intelligence, self-awareness. You got to talk about with your kids at a very young age about emotions, about the brain, how it works. So at a young age, if you teach your child that you have an amygdala, a small part of your brain that's stress response, emotions where you lose control. You have a prefrontal cortex where you problem solve, critical think, and teach them that their brain's not developed yet and their brain is developing and that they're going to tend to be emotionally overwhelmed until they're older. And you have these conversations. So when, in terms of confidence, they realize, okay, I made a mistake. I'm not a failure. I just made an error in that moment. I became emotionally overwhelmed and I said something mean to that kid or I said something mean to my parent, but I'm not a mean person. And that's so when you teach them how the brain works, how the body works, it just helps create that foundation in them that they're okay. It's okay to make mistakes and that they will make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And
yeah.
that's the foundation you need to set is teach them some science and let them know why they're struggling in certain areas or why things are hard for them.
Wow, that's so good. And then also like teaching them that we do have a variety of emotions and it's
Oh,
okay. It's
yes.
okay to be angry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be
Mm-hmm.
frustrated. Like there's nothing wrong with you, but let's
No,
talk through those emotions and give you
yeah,
some tools to deal with those emotions other than,
exactly.
lashing out and hitting your sister or like, let's give you some
Yeah.
tools.
And don't go to the other extreme too, where we suppress those emotions. Oh, you don't get angry. Don't cry. Um,
Yeah.
that you as a parent, you got to give your child that middle ground. Let them be angry and sad, but say, hey, there's better ways than hitting, right? But when if your kid hits someone and you say, for example, well, I can't believe you did that. You hit them. That's so mean. Right there, that confidence is being shattered.
Mhm.
You're not you're telling them that they're did something mean, that they're a bad person, that they hit, opposed to saying, hey, were you feeling angry? What made you feel angry? And then walking through that and teaching
Mhm.
them why they got overwhelmed and why they hit and how naturally as humans we have a brain that wants us to do things. Yeah, right. So the difference is just in the wording and helping your child opposed to telling them that, well, because my children say that to me too. And we talk lots, we have to dissect and I'll say to them, they'll look sad and I'll say, are you feeling sad? Well, yeah, Dad, I feel like you're saying that I'm a mean person. And I'm like, well, am I saying you're a mean person or am I saying that maybe you could have done something different? Well, I could have done something different. And that's after hundreds of talks, right? Like it's as a parent, we have to be consistent, patient.
Yes, yes. Yeah, the big patient word, right? That's another topic in and of itself.
Yeah.
That's a huge topic, but this is such good information. So we just basically got to pause. We got to pause. We got to communicate. We got to get our own emotions.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to learn how to reduce our stress resilience or
Yeah.
build our stress resilience so that we
Totally.
can stay calm. So, all right, any other tips that you want to share with us? I mean, we covered a
Uh,
lot. So good.
yeah, I think we were talking quite a bit just about teaching. Like we talked so far a little bit about how we self-talk to ourselves as adults and affirmations and mindset and self-limiting beliefs. Teaching that to our children from a young age. Same with the brain science. So like as a parent, if we struggle with emotional intelligence and stress, opposed to just saying, I'm not good at this, spending time and energy on ourselves and then doing that with our children and teaching that to them about the mind and how the mind works and why we focus on the negative. Because your children will go through a roller coaster of emotions, but you got to equip them with the tools and skills from a young age
Yeah.
of how to deal with that. And same with you go to yours when you talk about the gut brain connection, right? Like just as a family, teaching ourselves and teaching our children just good knowledge. And so then the child will make healthy choices opposed to unhealthy choices, not because you're forcing them to, because they
Right.
want to, because they know why they're doing it.
Right. 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 Yeah, I love that. And I'm all about it, as you know. it's really teaching them like this is good nourishment that your body needs because you're growing and your body
Yeah,
needs protein and you need water so you don't get a headache and you don't get dehydrated. Your body needs that.
yeah,
Doing it that way as opposed to you got to drink, you got to eat better, you got to eat more vegetables.
exactly.
Like just like just having that communication and that education is so good.
Yeah.
So, all right, good. Anything else?
And last but not least, always is focus on providing a secure, safe, and healthy parent-child relationship. So if you want to teach your child how to be confident, you want to get, there's so many things in terms of confidence you can do, like these different tips, strategies in terms of, but if you don't have that secure parent-child relationship where that child knows that you will always love them and that you'll always accept them for who they are, and you're not trying to change them, you're just helping them maybe change some of the things they do. That's the most important thing you can do in terms of building a confident, resilient child with self-esteem is if they believe in themselves. Because when they hit those teenage years, if they from 0 to 10 years old have been criticized or labeled and they don't feel good about themselves, they're going to be drawn to peer pressure and trying to fit in and trying to figure out who they are. And they're going to go through 5-7 years of just trying to figure out their self-identity and end up in all of these harmful situations when at the core of it, all they're doing is searching for acceptance, searching for someone to like them for who they are and not to try to change them. So as a parent, you can avoid a lot of struggles if your child at their core knows when they lay to bed at night, they're thinking, my parent loves me for who I am and they're trying to help me and they're not negative towards me, they're positive. Like it's a safe place.
Wow, gosh, Michael, really it got the chills on that one because it really what you do when they're younger just goes right into those teenage years. And if you
Yeah.
don't get together when they're younger, it's not pretty.
No.
It's not pretty. And I know you know all too well because your focus was on teen boys, right? In
Yeah.
a group home.
If
And
I
I
could
know,
just touch on that for like 2 minutes.
yes, yes,
So if I
please.
can sum up my like 15 years of working with youth in justice, education, child and family services, what happens to them? Yeah, those early years, there's not a secure attachment to a parent, and they're not getting filled up in healthy ways in terms of positive attention, in terms of feeling good about themselves. And then they search for identity, they search for acceptance. And while you're out there searching for that, you're vulnerable because you're just saying, somebody love me, somebody make me feel good. And these kids are trying to fill this void. So when I worked with these kids or when I met them, that's what I was trying to undo was years of them feeling like they're no good and they're worthless and they're not lovable. And that's not just in child and family services and like the broken homes. That's in like typical normal homes where kids and parents have middle class and that, but the parents don't spend time with the children. They don't invest time in them, that everyone's busy. So that child feels like they're not important. They feel like they're not special and that their parent doesn't care about them. And that's what these children, when they open up to me, that's the common theme is my parent doesn't like me. So I must not be likable.
Wow. And then they do unlikable things.
Exactly, because you're just searching for answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That I'm trying to like hold back the tears on that one because when I see these teenagers, like all they want is to be loved. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like you said, and accepted for who they are. Like it's
Yep.
just so sad to me that these kids are so lost and they're not bad. They're not
No,
bad kids. They're like a lot of them just like super sensitive, gentle hearts.
that's exactly, and that's what I found out was with these kids that bounced home to home that couldn't be in school, and after about maybe 6-8 months of putting in hard work and stuff, then the kids would start to change, and then people would be telling me, "Oh, this is a different kid. I don't. What are you doing? What's the magic?" But there's no magic wand. There's no magic pill. It's putting time and effort in and controlling
Mhm.
your emotions and just time and again showing up for your kid,
And
showing up
controlling.
every day and
Yeah.
being brave. If you're not feeling emotionally regulated, telling your kid, crying in front of your kid, apologizing, being vulnerable, being brave as a parent.
Wow. Wow, Michael, this was powerful. Holy smokes. We could really talk forever. I hope you found value. Please, please, please share this video. If you know someone that's struggling, especially with teens, Michael's the guy. He's the man. But catch them when they're little. Like, start this now. Do
Yeah.
the work yourself. You're the adult. Like, do what you have to do to make yourself calm, to make yourself more effective, to make yourself less emotional. And there's so many things. So you can reach out to Michael. You'll put your information in the comments for me when we're done
Sure.
here. And definitely get help. I took 3 parenting series, courses when I was raising my kids, and it was so incredibly helpful. We don't come out of the hospital with a manual.
No.
We don't know what the hell we're doing. Every kid is different. Every age is different. But the bottom line is breeding that confidence and love and security. That's like the most important thing. So, Michael, thank you so much. We really could go on forever, but I'm going to end it here.
Okay.
We'll do this again for sure. Thank you so much for your time and expertise and wisdom and guidance and all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Any last words?
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for having me. And my last words is it started at a young age, but it's never too late to hit a giant reset button. No matter what your kid's doing, if they're 15, 16 and you're at the point where you guys can't be in the same room, you can undo that. It can be undone. You can hit a reset button and say, no, I'm going to start effectively parenting now. I'm going to start to powerfully parent now. I'm going to change what I do. And if you show up and change what you do, your kid will change what they do. It's not going to happen in a week. Nothing happens right away, but it will happen. And do you want to live the next 10 years with the same problems, or do you want to spend maybe 3-4 months of hard work, and then the 9 years after that are going to be drastically different?
Oh man, that is a great way to end. Absolutely. Yes. You can make change anytime. I love that. Hit
Everybody
that
can.
button. Yep. Love it. Get the tools that you need, get the guidance. It's possible. Love it. All right. Thank you again. I really, really, really appreciate this. Was awesome. So good. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Have an amazing weekend, everyone.